Hey, plant unboxing, right? 2 weeks ago, I got an opportunity to roll up to Edmonds, Washington to hang out with Corey and go help him unload, and I'm going to say unload, a plant order that he got in, which was a great opportunity for me to get a chance to look at how some of the stuff comes in, the operations that go on there with the quarantining of the plants and all that kind of stuff, and also check out realistically the packaging of how things come in from the wholesaler that this was coming from. I will say it's much more professional than the typical packaging that I've seen over the years from plant wholesalers and whatnot. Everything was like individually packaged and definitely in more of an agreeable state than I've seen in the past. In the past, a lot of wholesalers that I've seen send plants out will just come in a box, simply, you know, in a bag with water in it that's zip tied together or something along those lines. Maybe not a zip tie, but a rubber band on the top. I'm sure a lot of people have seen that. These plants all came in these nice kind of hermetically sealed packaging. I mean, it's not 100% airtight or anything like that, but most of the air drawn out of the bag, with the top sealed, the bottom sealed, very easy to open, honestly. But one of the definite things I noticed, there wasn't a soggy box out of the whole entire bunch. There wasn't water leaking all over the place. Everything was kind of nicely packed with like newspaper and foam, and they'd actually use styrofoam to keep the box, so even if in shipping maybe it got cold or whatnot, there definitely wouldn't have been any frost or anything like that. None of the plants would have been freezing or any of that kind of stuff. Most of the plants that came in were all sort of usual suspect type stuff. Nothing way out of the norm, of the normal stuff coming in. Some Sterigine repens, some Java fern, some Ammonia gracilis. I'm trying to think of the other ones. Some Anubias. Actually, some of the golden Anubias was actually really cool to actually finally see some of that in person. I haven't really seen. I've seen a ton of pictures of it online and stuff. I've never had any myself, which we'll see if we can get some at some point in time, right? You know what I'm saying? Get my hands on that. As it's portrayed out there with that gold Anubias, that it's sort of a rare plant. It's not that rare, but it's just kind of rare to find it at a store, honestly. More often than not, you don't normally see it at a store. So but we had a great time. I realized that I wasn't really on camera the whole entire time, so it's kind of a focus on Corey and him getting the stuff out of the box. We stopped by there in order to unload these plants because he'd picked them up from the airport and brought them up, and our schedules kind of combined to go, hey, let's just meet at the co-op and get these unloaded. Now, we got them unloaded, and then we didn't really have to unpack that many of them. We really just had to check the quality to make sure that nothing was wrong with them, any of that kind of stuff. The sniff test came into play, which is, it's always great to see when I feel like I'm being a little bit crazy, right? Where I'm like, oh, I gotta smell it, make sure it smells good, and then I realize that other people do that too. So it was good to see that. Maybe I'm not totally crazy, right? To get stuff in the mail, and then I'm like, oh, I gotta give it the old snifferoonie to make sure that it's not, it's nothing really going on with it. Use all your senses, you get your fingers in there, you get your eyeballs in there, you get your sniffer in there, and do all that stuff. And luckily, nothing was crazy, so we didn't have to, we didn't have to like do any follow-up or any of that kind of stuff. But we definitely checked the quantities and all that stuff, and then the later on unpackaging was actually handled by the employees there, so we didn't actually have to go through and open up every single bag and stuff like that, because that was going to be done after the fact. There's a guy there that, he's going to inventory all that stuff and make sure that everything is stocked away properly and all that. And but it was a really enjoyable experience to finally get to see how things have come along now. It's been quite a few years since I've gotten any kind of wholesale package in the mail, and hopefully like all of the wholesalers are doing this and going along these lines as opposed to the other ones. I don't know exactly who the wholesaler is. I just don't have that information on hand, so I'm sure just some regular questioning along along the road as we go forward here will be it will be revealed at some point in time, I'm sure. But I had a great time. We had a lot of laughs and some funny stuff, and definitely looked around and got a chance to look at some of the operation with the quarantine tanks as they adapt them from immersed grown to submerged grown, which I've had quite a few conversations with people about that, the confusion that goes in that wholesalers do grow them above the water line. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. There's no algae, fungus isn't really an issue, and they grow pretty rapidly above water. They'll grow a little bit slower underneath, underwater, fully submerged. So, but there's a lot of reasons that wholesalers and nurseries and things like that do it that way. We can get into that in probably a later video. Maybe one of these days I'll go and do a film tour at a nursery and try to get some behind the scenes for you guys at some point in time. But overall, I was really happy to have this little experience and go up and check this out and just kind of see how stuff is sort of done now versus how it was in the past, which, well, a lot of my experience with getting large shipments and stuff like that has been off quite a few years ago. So it is really cool to see some of the technology coming into play and the care and things that are going on. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this little video. If you like this video and some other stuff, hit the subscribe, all that, whatever. But more importantly, I do a live show 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday. So tune in for that. Hit the notification button, turn that stuff on, or set an alarm on your phone or whatever, and we'll be here at 4 o'clock Pacific Time for any questions, back and forth, and under the community stuff. So I hope everybody has a fantastic whatever day it is out there. Later. Hope.